Welcome to the Inner Solutions live stream. Today is April 13th, 2021. We are live on YouTube, live on Facebook as well. Welcome, everybody. My name is Jim Cipollini. I am an anxiety coach. I am an anxiety survivor. I am an post-anxiety thriver. I am a great gratitude having toward anxiety. And most importantly, what I do for a living is I help people through their journey with panic attacks, anxiety, or anything mental health related as far as trying to feel better, optimize their life, and get more attuned and in touch with their system so that they can live the happiest and most free life that they can. So welcome. If you're on YouTube or Facebook and you've been here before, sorry to repeat myself, but please put your comments and questions in the chat. This is a place to share your struggles, successes, questions, comments, stories, whatever. So please, very, very judgment-free zone. Please feel free to share openly and share boldly. And I'm really looking forward to getting deep into what does it actually look like to work through anxiety, to overcome it. What are the techniques that work? What are the foundations that you need to have to be able to work through this and successfully work through this and minimize the suffering? You know, a lot of people are going through this bout of panic or anxiety because of especially people who have been through it before, because they never got to the source of the problem. They've been dealing with the symptoms. And typically what happens, and I talked to somebody today who this was the story, and I think this really represents what a lot of people go through, is that they'll go through a bout of panic and anxiety. They'll overcome it. They'll do the right things. Then when they start feeling better, they just kind of pivot into moving back into life without really exploring, well, what brought me here? Why did I get here? And so we like to mix the two main stages, which is managing the panic, managing the high anxiety, and then understanding what brought you here. Why did this happen? So please feel free, boldly, without any sort of hesitation or self-consciousness, share, ask questions. What's going on with you? I want to know how your heart is today, how you're feeling, where you're at with your journey, and where are you stuck? Let's unstick some people today. That sounds a little strange, but let's unstick them. Let's do it. So, what's up, Rowdy? Good to see you, brother. Welcome on YouTube. Welcome to all our Facebook and YouTube listeners. And guys, before we go, I do have to plug a couple things. Number one is we have our anxiety class, which is meeting and growing. We had the biggest class we've had so far yet last night. If you're interested in that, you can message us on Facebook. Also, in the description below, you can schedule a free coaching call with myself or Ennis. And that is a free 45-minute call in which our intention is to listen to your story and give you some personalized advice, some personalized, really nuts to bolts steps that you can take to start feeling better and move yourself in the right direction. So let's get that going and let's get that done. So here we have live anxiety Q&A. Today is for, I just said the date, 13/21. Nice. Nice. Perfect. All right, we're good to go. Here we go. So, again, guys, I want to know, how's your heart? How are you feeling? What's been going on with you? Where are you at in your journey? Are you in your daily struggles? Are you starting to feel better? We've had some movement with some clients who have been feeling stuck and kind of hopeless for a while. So this week has been a fantastic week as far as feeling like people could, feeling like certain clients who felt stuck were able to get some traction. And that's a big deal, man. That's a big, big deal. Rowdy says, hello, I'm hoping once I'm back in school physically that my mental health will recover. Writing helps me. Rowdy, good to see you, brother. Hope everything's going well. But it sounds like you're struggling a little bit. And let's talk about writing, man. So any sort of externalization of the internal is extraordinarily positive for processing through what's going on. So that's a really fancy way of saying taking what's in here and putting it out here, whether it's through speaking with a counselor or coach, whether it's through audio journaling, whether it's through writing it, really, really can help sort through what's going on. A lot of times I'll talk with clients and they'll say, well, I'm just so overwhelmed and I have to do this chore and I have to do this and I feel like I just can't take anything else. And so simply what we'll do to start is just to write it out, make a to-do list, and then write like the first, second, third step you have to take for that. And it helps them just break down what's going on to turn that mountain that they feel like they have to climb into a series of really tangible and doable steps, which is fantastic. So Rowdy, yeah, I love that you're journaling, man, and keep it up. Keep it up, brother. As far as hoping once I'm back at school physically that my mental health will recover, we get momentum from all different types of stuff. We can get momentum from, once the pandemic starts to lift and going back out in public and feeling normal again and getting creature comforts. But Rowdy, I would use this as an indicator of spending so much time alone has been torturous for you. And so maybe identifying the pattern of what's going on with you when you're home alone and when you're when you have all that thinking time of what is going on. Part of it could be simply you just don't know what to do with yourself. You're not used to self-motivating or self-structuring. Or maybe part of it is there's something inside of you that's trying to get your attention, whether it's some unprocessed emotion, whether it's a certain fear, whether it's something that you've been shoving down for a long time. So you say you write stories, fiction and stuff. I would encourage you to write something a little more autobiographical, a little more that resonates with you emotionally, big time. Let's go to Facebook and see what's going up. Carmen says, hey, Jim. What's up, Carmen? Tina Jo says, hey there. Tina Jo, how are you? How's your guys' hearts today? Patricia Cipollini says, just saying hi. Hey, Ma. Sophia says, what's up? All right. Lots of highs, man. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. Travis, my man. Hey, Jim. Good to see you. As always, huge guest this week on the Mental Break Room. I'd love for you to tune in and give us feedback. A college and NFL football player. The importance of play within mental health. Very cool, man. Very cool. Let us know what when your show is. What time? And is it available? And I see the link here. What time, where, when, why, how, everything. One of the things I wanted to do today was to look at this list of frequently asked questions about anxiety and mood disorders and just answer some of these of the bigger questions. And since we don't have a ton going on in the chat, I think it's a perfect opportunity. So these are some of the most frequently asked questions about anxiety and mood disorders. The first one is, what is anxiety? And that's a great question. It's a really, really, really good question. So anxiety is the feeling that you feel through your body when a certain part of your brain starts to detect a perceived threat. And that can be a perceived physical threat or some kind of imminent psychological threat. You can see how that is so broad and so open to interpretation. But anxiety is necessary in all of us because it's what keeps our hands off the hot stove and what keeps us from walking towards and trying to pet a tiger who's snarling at us. So our mind is meant to focus on anything that is threatening. If you're looking across a city and you see a million things that are stimulating, whether it's people walking everywhere, giant buildings, lights, signs, for sale, Gucci, people walking their dog, taxi cabs, buses. And there's one thing that's threatening in that whole group, and you catch an eye of it, your brain is actually programmed to focus on that one thing, to focus on the whatever could be a threat out of this entire field. Now, that can be exacerbated immensely. And this is what happens during general anxiety. During general anxiety, as your anxiety system, that your brain and your body, your nervous system, because the brain and the body, you feel the anxiety, but it's triggered by a mechanism in the brain or by a part of your brain. As that is overstimulated, hey, Tara, how are you? Tara, how are you? Get it? Nice. As that becomes overstimulated, now what starts to happen is you see things that are not threatening as threatening because there's a lot of emotional reasoning that goes on, and it feeds off itself. That's what general anxiety is. It's anxiety that's generalized across the board. So even if you have panic attacks and then you start having anxiety about the panic attacks, you become more susceptible to having parallel or different anxieties as your anxiety system is exercised and it becomes the new habit. So anxiety is necessary for us to survive. Our brain is programmed. Our reticular activation system is part of our brain that is programmed to point out risks and threats. When it becomes a problem is when it becomes debilitating, when it starts to be extremely irrational, when it starts to skew and filter your thinking into thinking things that are not threatening or threatening, things like showing up to a new job. And with a diagnosis of general anxiety disorder or panic disorder, it's extremely important you don't identify as the diagnosis. The diagnosis is a cluster of symptoms, and the criteria is kind of irrelevant in the fact that people work through this all the time, and it's really up to you to focus, to make it a priority, to accept, to release the resistance towards it happening, and learning how to work with your system. So, and then by the end of that, when you go through treatment, you won't have quote unquote a general anxiety disorder anymore. The next question is, and guys, please feel free to pop in your questions. I'm just reading these, but I would love to answer your questions much more. Let me go back to YouTube and see what's going on. Rowdy says, online school is too complicated. Rowdy says, you guys do a Zoom class. We do a Zoom class, Rowdy, that meets twice a week. If you're interested, shoot us a message. Or you can email me at jim@innersolutions.academy if you're interested in getting involved in that. Lisa K says, why can't I see this? Is it common for someone to have issues a long time after an event happens? Lisa, I'm going to give you the vaguest question award, but vaguest meaning like it's really non-specific. If you're able to give a little more specificity, I'm sorry, I'm just breaking. I'm from New England. That's how we show we like each other. So we break each other a little bit. Is it common for someone to have issues a long time after an event happens? I would say it's relative to the event, but I would say absolutely. So events in your life are what form and influence your personality, especially 25 and the younger you go, the kind of more influential events are. So I would say something like a sexual assault, a physical assault, an abandonment, anything that's a major change to your immediate day-to-day bubble life, especially in your childhood, will cause quote-unquote issues. Now, I don't like the word issues. It'll cause reaction, consequences, right? Positive, negative, whatever. Every event influences you in some way. Me taking a sip of this weird chocolate milk that I thought was coffee causes me to realize I need to pay closer attention to what I'm buying at the store. But as far as what I think you're talking about, which is more like, is it normal for people to have issues a long time after something traumatic happens? And the answer is absolutely. Extremely, extremely normal, especially if there's never been a concerted effort into processing through the event, whether through therapy, through your own healing methods, through grieving. And those are things that maybe need to be processed in several different ways throughout your life. Meaning maybe there is a, let's use sexual assault. And trigger warning, guys, if you're triggered by sexual assault, maybe take the next 5 minutes off and come on back. So let's say something traumatic happened. You were sexually assaulted when you were 17 years old. So after that event happens, there's going to need to be some processing through, whether it's grieving, whether it's crying, kind of helping the part of you that feels stuck, analyzing the parts of you that have formed and how your behavior has changed. For example, you may be paranoid to go back out on dates with men. Maybe you're just scared of men in general, or you develop a certain type of phobia, which is extremely, extremely common. So there's going to be an initial necessary processing. Now, let's say 15 years goes by, you're in your 30s, and you go to get married. And maybe you haven't dated much, but you found somebody you like, you've taken it very slow. Or let's say you're going to have your first sexual encounter with that person, and it's your first sexual encounter since the sexual assault. There's going to be a whole nother level of processing that's going to need to happen. And that may need counseling, it may need journaling, it may need all of it, it may need meditation. But the expectation of like, well, it's been 15 years, I should be over it, is completely irrational and unrealistic. Events, trauma, pain, they live inside of us if not released. And oftentimes they need to be released multiple times through stages. And so I think that really illustrates how there is no rule of thumb. Good Lord. There is no rule of thumb when it comes to processing emotion. I know that for me, I've dealt with a lot of my anxiety when I was really, really struggling. And then when I got into a major relationship that was very, very close and a very, very strong bond, there was a whole new level of attachment issues that I had to deal with. And so I needed to seek counseling. I needed to seek assistance for that. And it's sort of a never-ending process as far as like, you may get over the major stuff and then feel pretty stable. It's not a life sentence. But as far as like doing the exploration, processing through things, that's a piece of your life to really integrate into a practice, a regular practice, because we store stress on a micro and macro level. The stuff we're talking about that lasts for over years and over years, that tends to be the more macro. But on a day-to-day basis, when you don't speak up for yourself, when you're not able to let things go, when you suppress your emotions, and when you continue with a low self-worth, or have trouble asking for help, or are ashamed or embarrassed or humiliated by what you do, we're constantly storing emotion. So it has to be a daily practice to let go and process through that emotion. Let me scroll back to Facebook. Travis says, Thursday at 6 p.m. on Facebook Live on the Mental Breakdown. Julian Vanderbelde? I'm learning Spanish. Is his name. Check him out. Played for the Hawkeyes and the Philadelphia Eagles. Fellow Midwestern boy. Can't wait to speak to him more in depth about his experiences. Tara says, hello. What's up, Tara? Travis says, we're going to be relaxing, talking, and having a couple IA brews. It's going to be a great episode. Stoked to have our first sponsored episode. Nice, man. Nikki says, hey, Jim, what's up? Nicole. Devin says, hey, Jim, what's up? You guys are quiet in the Facebook chat today, man. Guys, please don't be shy. Post. Again, we do this for you. So please, post your questions, man. Don't be shy. Lisa says, sorry, I was with my dad when he had a heart attack when I was 12. Wow. I'm now just finding that I'm struggling with health and anxiety and all kinds of worry out, worst case scenarioing. And all kinds of worry out, worst case. Okay. So, we'd call that a trauma response. That when you were 12 and your father had a heart attack, it was such a shock to your emotional system. It was such a shock to your security and stability that it kind of took this secure timeline and it caused this routing. And so now you're finding that you're struggling with health anxiety and anxiety and all kinds of worry out, worst case scenario. Yeah. So that's very, very normal. And until you get attuned and in touch with the deeper part of you that devastated and scared, it's going to be a bit of a shock. And so really what's happening is there's this multi-pronged approach to dealing with anxiety. There's hitting it on the physical level, there's hitting on the cognitive level, and there's hitting it on the emotional level. And I would say, Lisa, that knowing how long you've been working for, you're probably doing the physical things right. You're probably doing some good cognitive things. And it's the emotional level that's really hard to get in touch with and attune to, meaning that there's something that caused in you that shocked your system so bad that it's so scared it's going to happen again. Or it just, and it works in tandem with the anxiety, meaning like the more anxious you get, the more anxious that part of you is going to get. And it's hard for it to let go and trust and not monitor your body and wonder what's happening. I'm curious, Lisa, is the anxiety you feel, is it for you? Is it your health anxiety? Or is it more anxiety like for your family? Yeah, important. Amanda says, I'm listening, taking care of work, fam. Nice. Just finished cooking dinner. Good for you. Nikki says, yep, that health anxiety is no joke. I have that too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things. And look, with COVID was this very scary just mystery, which for a lot of us who now we live in an age where, we have more and more control over things, like way, way more and more control over things. COVID was a shock to our system. I've never lived during much in a war zone, in anything as intense like that. So my system is soft in that way, that it's like, I'm not used to shutdowns, and my mind goes and catastrophizes. And so for me, it took a lot of kind of cognitive behavioral therapy, a lot of energy to keep myself grounded. And especially working at a facility I was working at where, we get new clients all the time, and there's people, people who are sick, and I'm in contact with the nurses, and we're in confined spaces with these kids. We have to go hands-on with them sometime. It was heavy. So and the news is freaky, man. It's designed to be freaky for ratings. Like it's really designed to shock you and feel like you have to watch this or don't, and that's a lot, man. It's a lot for our system. Yeah. Deborah says, hey, Jim, what's up, Deborah? How do you say your name? Latieja? Spell your name phonetically for me. What's up, Dawn? How are you? Currently dealing with being afraid to drive. I had a severe panic attack Friday that sent me to the hospital and have been down since. Yeah. So what did they tell you at the hospital? I had a severe panic attack Friday that sent me to the hospital and have been down ever since. So how do you say your name? I can't figure it out. Latieja. Your name sounds like a song by Ricky Martin. Latea or Latea? Okay, Latea. That makes sense. Latea. All right, thank you. Sorry, Latea. Latieja. That's kind of cool. Latea is cool too. What's up, Kelly? How are you, brother? So Latieja. Latea. Oh man, it's going good. Things are good. So Latea, I haven't seen you in the channel. I think you're new to us. So it's important to know panic attacks don't kill you. They don't make you go crazy. They don't make you lose control. And going to the hospital, typically what they'll tell you, my friend Kelly here is actually an EMT, is that there's not a whole hell of a lot they can do for you. And so the holistic and the sustainable way to work through panic attacks is to know that you're okay. And so we have a 3-step process we call the panic response plan, which is we wrote a book about it. If you want a copy of it, shoot us a message on Inner Solutions. But basically what it says is, first thing you do when you have a panic attack is you start doing deep breathing. We recommend box breathing, 4 out, hold it for 4, inhale for 4, hold it for 4, and repeat over and over. Then we do a specialized method, so some sort of cognitive reframing, so that you're keeping yourself grounded and not absorbing and believing the thoughts that you're having. Okay, so This can be anything from challenging the panic to take you over and take you out because it's not going to talking to the part of you that's panicking and setting a firm boundary and asking it to unblend with you, all the while calming it and soothing it, to just reminding yourself, hey, these are the same chemicals that are being released in my body as excitement. I'm not in any sort of a risk. I'm totally safe. And it's really okay. There's no damage being done to my body by this fight or flight mechanism releasing. Yeah, so Latea, you're 100% safe while you're having a panic attack. You know, a lot of people, we talked about this yesterday in our class, a lot of people have gone to the hospital with a panic attack and gone to the heart doctor and gone to the lung doctor and gone to the, to get CAT scans and MRIs and all this stuff that they just find comes back negative because anxiety can really be that debilitating. It can really be that overwhelming. So Latea, you're safe. But it doesn't mean it's comfortable. So the best thing you can do is just allow the physical sensations to happen, allow the thoughts to pass. You're safe. Ann says, I've stopped her watching the news. Yeah. I don't watch anything news-wise. Let me check over with YouTube. Lisa K, both. I'm getting to be the age he was, and I don't want to put my kids through what I went through. Also, for family, since dad has had 3 more since then. Also, so Lisa's talking about having some health anxiety. She has health anxiety for herself and also for her family. I don't want to put my kids through what I went through. And I'm worried because her dad has had 3 more heart attacks since then. Wow, yeah. So, I mean, dad has a history of having heart attacks. Are they freakish heart attacks, or does it seem like there's a reason for them? Is he overweight? Does he not take care of himself? Is he a smoker? Does he use a lot of caffeine, a lot of stimulants? Is he stressed out all the time? Lisa, for you, having come to the channel and knowing your background as far as like you're much of a people pleaser, you want to take care of your family. I really think you got to do a full court press on this one, Lisa. I really think that you need to, you need more support, man. You need a lot more support. Because this sounds like you're not getting a lot of traction moving through this. So I would recommend scheduling that call, or just setting something up to start working one-on-one. Yeah, because there's a lot to unpack, and really what it is, Lisa, is you probably know all the tools and techniques at this point, but really it's you have to learn how to shuffle and set boundaries with the emotional. Attune yourself to your inner family, not your external family. It sounds like you're very, very helpful of them. Break the habit of doing too much for them and shift it into spending the time and energy to find the behaviors, the patterns, and the practices that are going to help you. The meditation is going to be key for you. Practicing the pause, as my good friend Amanda says, is going to be huge for you. Breaking the habit of what you're doing and then analyzing and dealing with the feelings that you're dealing with. When you stop doing things for your family, stop doing too much for them. When you stop speaking out or stop doing the research for your health anxiety. It's simple, but not easy. But you need more support, I think. Calcifer, Hotorobi, sumimasen. Ayo. Hey, what's up, Calcifer? Cool name. Really cool name. Kelly Sleeper says, my dude, Kelly. I just got my motorcycle running today, bro. But that's off topic. Nikki says, COVID has taken my anxiety to a whole nother level. I don't go anywhere, and it's really getting to me. I want to feel some kind of normal with this new normal. So, Nikki, I would recommend that you do go do something. I recommend you be safe, but that you got to go do something. When you shock your system that bad, going from being out, seeing people, being with friends, chilling this way, it's like, and then to nothing. It's such a shock to the system, and it takes away all your distractions, coping mechanisms. If you're a kind of an empathetic person or extrovert and you feed off of other people's energy, now you've kind of eliminated one of your main sources of, the cyclical feeling like you're ingratiated with others in society and having energy. So it is what it is. But I would highly recommend you go do something, even if it's go for a walk or go into TJ Maxx with gloves and a mask. Do something. Be out in public with people. That's the one thing that's going to happen. That's not the one thing. That was an overstatement. That's a thing. That's a big deal. Is like I can't go out because it's just I'm going to catch it. If I touch anything, I got to wash my hands 25 times. Like, no. Be smart, be cautious, but there is no certainty as for anything. So it's like you staying in your house is much more detrimental than it is good keeping you safe from COVID because of the mental aspect of it. So find a little bit of balance. Be safe and be smart and be careful. Latea says, all my labs were normal. Yep. Sounds like anxiety, Latea. Sounds like anxiety. Get involved. Happy that you're here. You're in the right place. And you're definitely not stuck. Latea says, I had that problem. Deborah says, I had that problem too. Hashtag, you're not alone. Deborah just making her own hashtags like she owns the place here. I love it. Kelly Sleeper, my man, who is an EMT. Ativan, if it's bad enough. The hyperventilating causes numbness and tingling in your hands and feet. It's called carpal pedal spasms. Yeah. So we get a lot of people with dizziness, tingling, with elevated heart rate, with trouble breathing. And again, it's very, very much just symptoms of the fight or flight mechanism going off, the adrenaline or the norepinephrine, the glucose in your bloodstream, the excess oxygen being pumped in. Yeah. Deborah says, the more you fight it, the worse it gets. Yeah. But the more you fight it and try to stop it immediately, the worse it gets because then you feel even more powerless. It's like dad with the remote control when he clicks it and nothing happens. He clicks it and nothing happens. He says, why is this was working yesterday? Why don't I have control of my body? And the answer is it's released these chemicals. They have to run their course. So as Kelly says down here, slowing your breathing is the most important to calm your nervous system, to kind of shut off that fight or flight and kill the chemical source, the norepinephrine, the glucose, so that they can run their course and you can be done with it as soon as possible. Nikki replying to Latea says, they will only give you meds through IV and put you as a paranoid patient and send you on your way. Trust me. I've been all 2019 about 3 times a year. You will get through it. I haven't been at all this year and only twice in 2020. Yeah, there's not a whole hell of a lot they can do for you. So it is what it is. Kelly, my man, my EMT man, says, grounding and getting control of the moment. Focus on the things that you can control. Slowing your breathing is most important. Yeah, that's why that box breathing is the best. That 4x4x4x4 even breathing, balancing the CO2 and O2 levels in your blood, as well as helping give you something to focus on that's meditative, that's calming, and really, really good for your body. Anisha says, hi, Jim. Anisha, what's up, darling? How are you? Thanks for coming through. How you doing? How's the anxiety? How's things in general? Nikki says, I went 3 times a week every week all 2019. Wow. Yeah. You must have been on a first name basis with that. That's a lot. Yeah, that's debilitating, man. That's got to get expensive as hell, too. So God bless you for putting in the work now to be here and feel better and work through it holistically. Good for you. Glad that that's over. And that's a hell of a change from going 3 times a week to 2 times a week to not going once this year. I mean, that's a hell of a change. So good work. Kelly, the EMT says, I've noticed an uptick in panic attack calls in my department. Learn your triggers and how to recognize the beginning of the attack. Yeah, so the problem with a panic attack is they happen so fast, and especially if you're in the habit of having them. And it can happen so fast. We talk about the feedback loop, right? You feel a sensation, so maybe your heart skips a beat. You have the thought, "Oh my God, I'm having a heart attack." Triggers fear, triggers more of a sensation, triggers the "Oh no, I'm having a panic attack," and it just grows on itself. And all this can happen within 5 seconds, 6 seconds, and then it's blown into a panic attack. So it's tricky, very, very tricky. And says, yes, it is a shock. The COVID contributed to my anxiety after a while. Yeah, it was a significant immediate change, man. COVID. Yeah, it was. I mean, I don't know about you guys who maybe are a little older. I'm 36, and man, I've never been through anything like it. It's a shock. EMT man says the hyperventilating causes your body to get rid of carbon dioxide too quickly and causes it to change your natural pH to an alkaline state. That is what causes the numbness and tingling in your extremities. Dude, you did your reading. You did your studying. Kudos to you, brother. Kudos to you. And says, even going for a ride is good. Absolutely. Yeah, get out of the house, Nikki. Get out of the house, Nicole. Do something. Switch it up. Change it up. Make it happen. Make it happen. Yeah. Deborah says, hashtag dang straight. Joanne says, hey, Jim. What's up, Joanne? How are you? How's it going? How's the anxiety today? How are you feeling? How's your heart? How's your life? How's everything? So let's go back to these frequently asked questions. And guys, please post your stories. Tell me what your regimen is like. To those of you in the class, tell me what's been working for you. What have you been trying? Or are you just waiting for it to go by? Which is fine. That's fine. It's probably not the most effective method, but it is. How prevalent are anxiety disorders? So in the U.S., let me double check, but in the U.S., my understanding is about 40 million people. Anxiety disorder statistics. U.S. No. An estimated 19% of U.S. adults had an anxiety disorder in the past year. Wow. And this was 2017. So 2016. So how common is anxiety in 2020? So between just generalized anxiety disorder and panic disorder, that's 13 million adults. Just in those two diagnoses. Just those two diagnoses. Wow. And just in case you're interested, Brazil leads the world in prevalence of anxiety disorders. That's interesting. So how prevalent are anxiety disorders? Extremely prevalent. So if you say 40 million people have an anxiety disorder, that's over 10% of the population. That's high. 10% of the total population. It's very high. What are the treatment options for anxiety disorders? So there's a lot of treatment options. Right now, if you go on PubMed, which is the medical journals and medical studies and medical publications, scholarly articles, the common treatment for generalized anxiety disorder, the kind of textbook, is a combination of an SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, which is a type of medication, a pharmaceutical, in conjunction with cognitive behavioral therapy. What I find and what we find is that the people that we deal with, their anxiety is so intense, it's so overwhelming, and it's rooted in such deeper issues that tends to not be enough. That tends to not deal with the emotional side. So again, when we treat people and we're working with clients, we hit it on a physical, on the cognitive, and on the emotional. The physical and emotional are extremely tethered together, but they're different. The emotional, when we talk about the emotional, we're talking more the physical sensations that are linked to the thoughts that typically are causing the emotional reasoning. So when you do a cognitive behavioral therapy, when you do thought replacement, if you're overwhelmed by panic and you're trying to use a replacement thought, and it's really, really strong, that replacement thought is not going to ground you. It's not going to help you. It's just, Yeah, so learning how to manage your system, and I talk about this all the time. That's why we use the internal family systems method of therapy. Learning to manage your system, attune yourself to it, learning to remove resistance from the event, allowing it to go through as though it's like a storm and it just needs to pass through. That combination is really, really the foundational key. Dealing with the heavy stuff, the panic and getting the confidence that you're going to be okay. Then they start to happen less frequently, less intensely, and for a shorter duration. And then after that, it's all about, well, why did this happen in the first place? What am I doing to store stress, store emotion, stay in unprocessed emotion, things like that. Right. Deborah says, what are your thoughts on tapping? You talking tapping like as a source of grounding? Kind of like the EFT? By the way, EFT, for me, is emotionally focused therapy, which is a dope form of therapy. Unbelievable, especially for couples counseling. But as far as tapping for me is a grounding technique, I think is fine. To me, it's on par with like a sensory soothing technique. I don't believe it's a cure. I believe it's a coping mechanism to deal with symptoms. But I really think that it, if you're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't think it's a substitute for box breathing, but I think in conjunction, it could be useful. It's really whatever resonates for you. But again, it seems to be a coping mechanism, a way to cope with the symptoms instead of heal and get to the source. So useful if you find that it gives you some relief. I don't see it as like a foundational tool to get you through sustainably. But then again, I haven't studied it that deeply, so maybe there's more to it than I think. Joanne Picciolo. I'm doing good today. Got blood results back and everything is normal. Great. So let's deal with that. Roll up those sleeves, Joanne. Let's deal with that anxiety. Come on, soul sister. Sophia says, the meditation has been helping me so much. I'm so glad to hear it. Sophia, please preach to the people. What have you noticed has changed about meditation? How did you get started? And what is it doing for you? Please. I have that on my list to talk about today. If the questions got slow, which is getting back to basics about meditation, why it's useful, ways to do it. But Sophia, please be the sponsor for meditation. This message by Sophia brought to you by meditation, a foundational tool for all things mental health and life optimization. Mind, body, spirit. Anne says, yes, me too. I found a lot of good meditation with sounds, etc. on YouTube. Yes, so I find the biggest hurdle for people struggling with anxiety is that they can't focus, when that's actually one of the keys to the meditation. Is it's teaching you to focus. So when you lose your focus, bring it back in gently. Lose your focus, bring it back in gently. Of course. But they don't want to do that because it's stressful and it's painful. It's like a workout. And that's the whole point, is your focus is a muscle, and the more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. Kelly, the EMT, says, I've encountered a lot of patients that are embarrassed to seek help for anxiety disorders. It doesn't help that here in our state, mental health is deemed as a service for weaker people. There's no shame in seeking help for anxiety. You preach to the choir, soul brother. That's what we're here for. We're here to destigmatize. I'm going to make shirts that say warrior. And it's going to be about anxiety, but we don't need to know because we don't need to advertise. Maybe we should, though. Anxiety warrior. Would you guys wear a shirt that says anxiety warrior on it? I know a client of mine wants me to make a shirt that says, I don't have to explain shit to anybody. And by the way, you guys don't have to explain shit to anybody ever. It's a golden rule. Deborah says, yeah, like EFT. Yeah. The tapping, I think it's a cool tool if it resonates with you. I mean, we again pride ourselves on, we have all the tools. We share them all. We've read the books. We've read the big books. We've extrapolated. We've moderated. We've shifted and changed the tools to be more universal. And it's the right tool for the right person at the right time. So if the tapping is working to help ground you, Deborah, great. great. And it's a tool, guys. If that resonates with anybody else, do it. Hell yeah, do it. And talking to Kelly says, that's terrible. Glad in New York it's not looked at that way. Yeah, we're in Tennessee. Kelly's a buddy of mine I worked with. And yeah, I'm in kind of my own bubble here. But I worked in a mental health facility, and yeah, they didn't give a hell of a lot of creed to anxiety, you know? I don't know. It's hard to tell. Joanne says, yes! Joanne says, yes, Sophia! Really enthusiastic, Joanne. Anisha says, I've been doing extremely well. My anxiety has lessened a lot, but I used meditation at night before sleep just to unwind from my day. During the day at work, things are a lot better. If I have any of the thoughts, which are rare now, I use the tools you've taught me. Who, me? Taught you tools? Ooh. Some days the thought will cross my mind. Wonderful. If when I will feel the feelings again, then I have to not get caught up in the thought. I'm so happy to hear you're thriving, Anisha. It's so great. Yeah, keep it up. So what's happened is you've worked through a lot of it. When it starts to kick up, you're using meditation, which is great. Thanks, Kelly. All right, brother. Thanks for coming by, man. Really helpful to get your insight, man. Appreciate it. Go save a life. Anisha, I'm so glad you're doing well. Yeah, so keep the tools going. And again, don't relax now. Keep doing the inner work to understand what got you there in the first place. Sophia says, I feel the meditation takes me to a happy place where there is no fear and just calmness. Even though you spelled it clamness, I'm not going to call you out on it. I just did. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, so that sounds like the type of meditation you're doing is you're kind of priming your mind, and you're visiting this state of being in the state of mind that you can then access the more you practice it. So it's almost like you're taking it's more like a preventative measure. You're taking a medication to prevent the symptom later, and the medication for you, the medicating, is meditation. Meditation. I choose meditation. So that's really great, Sophia. So you're soothing your nervous system. You're visiting this calm place. And again, you can use that when you start to feel anxious, is go back to that calm place. A lot of times we'll have a trigger word for people, which is actually not a trigger like to upset you, a trigger to remind you and snap you out of it. So for one of my clients, it's restaurant. Think of the restaurant. And the restaurant indicates she was really scared to go to a restaurant. She was really scared to go somewhere. And then she kind of forced herself to do an exposure experiment, and she had a really great time. And so now when she's scared to do something, we say restaurant, restaurant, restaurant. And it's to remind her, oh, that's right, I don't know what's going to happen. It could be great. As much as I'm scared it could be bad or it could be unpleasant, it could be really great. Lisa K says, so on the emotional level, is it weird that I feel numb to it, like I have no emotions? No, numbness or dissociation or depersonalization or derealization, those dissociative or kind of cut off symptoms, they're really common. And it's your mind or body's or both's way of trying to feel better. And so it says, hey, this is so much for us. Here's a way we can cope. Let's just cut it off. Let's just numb out. It's either that or you get so overwhelmed and your nervous system is so stimulated that you kind of go a little more to the catatonic. And it's a survival mechanism. A lot of people dissociate if they were repeatedly abused, if they were repeatedly in traumatic experiences, if they were in a household or a place where they were really, really escalated and it was really, really unpredictable. And in that state of anxiety and in that heightened state. So it makes sense that if you were really overwhelmed and going through something over and over again, that your emotions started to just kind of flatten, that you don't feel a hell of a lot of joy. You don't feel a lot of anger. You just kind of go through the motions because to survive, your body's compressed them into this kind of monotonous emotional state. That's not permanent. And the truth is that part of you that has put you in that monotonous state, it does it as a way to cope. So in the same way it's learned to cope, that's a burden that part of you is carrying. It feels like it has to do that to help you survive. And so if you can get in touch with that part of you, if we can get its permission and start to ease it off, to let it know it's okay to let some emotion come through, then you'll start to feel more deeply. And the risk of that is not a risk at all, but the risk is that you'll feel some of these things that it's been trying to protect you from. But that's a necessary thing. So be grateful towards the part of you that has numbed you out, because it got you through a really tough time. It was a way of coping that worked. That's why it's become a habit. It's not weird at all. It's actually one of the most normal things that your body can do is numb out, is dissociate, is disconnect. I feel like I'm moving so fast. Do I move too fast through these questions? I feel like I just, yeah, this is medication, blah, 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 blah. This isn't even caffeine. I don't even know why I'm hyper. Is this caffeine in it? Nope. No caffeine. So yeah, these frequently asked questions about anxiety and mood disorders, I think the rest of them we talk about so much. What are the risk factors or triggers for anxiety disorders? That's pretty obvious. What are the symptoms? We talk about all the time. Guys, your list of symptoms, everything from nausea to tingling in your arms and legs to restless muscles to rapid heart rate, deep hyperventilating or breathing. Feeling like your throat's closing, racing thoughts, migraines, headaches, muscle tension, muscle soreness. You may feel it like tightness in places you've had surgery or other physical traumas, clenched teeth. I'm trying to think of some of the rarer symptoms that I've heard. Upset stomach. Like sexual performance issues, all kinds of stuff. And then what are the most common things that people have trouble doing? Driving's at the top of that list, being alone, going to the store, being out in public, being around coworkers, being around certain family members, being in really overstimulating environments. It's heavy, man. Yeah. Sophia says, I also feel that class helps me more than my therapist. Sophia, get a new therapist. I mean, our class is awesome, no doubt. But if you're working one-on-one with somebody and you're paying your hard-earned money for it, they damn well better be helping you. So hopefully that's you saying the class is so great and your therapist is really, really good. But if your therapist sucks, get out of there. That's interesting how I framed that. At first it was like, oh, you got to get out of there. It's like, no, maybe she's just saying the class is really great. It is. We've been through it. We know what to do. Tammy, what's up, Tammy? I'm enjoying this live. I'll be speaking with you on Friday. Box breathing, CBT, meditation. Doesn't seem to work for me. Interesting. Anything else you suggest to stop the loop as you know it's starting? Yeah, totally. Tammy, send us a message here on Facebook. I want to send you a copy of our book, The Panic Response Plan. So this is part of what we talked about in class last night is we went through the first part of the book and we talked about the panic response plan, the 3 steps. And the second step is some sort of specialized method of cognitively reframing the event, whether it's telling yourself you're excited, whether it's talking to the panic part of you, whether it's inviting it in. It just depends on where you're at, Tammy. So shoot us a message on Facebook. If you don't have the Panic Response Plan ebook and audiobook, I'll send it to you and you can check it out and pick which method to start with. But really at the foundation, Tammy, is you got to let it go. You got to let it happen. And I encourage you to even welcome it in and just sit or take a knee and just feel the physical sensations. Let the thoughts float by without believing them. You don't have to believe the thoughts. You can just let them float by. That's truly surrendering to the event. Now, you have a lot more power than you think, but what you can't do is just stop it. You can't just say, no, stop right now. That doesn't work. So just let it happen. Even invite it in. Go ahead, kill me. Bring it on. Bring it on. Make your heart go faster. See if you can make your throat close even more. You can't. And you're safe, and there is no risk. So that's what I would recommend as your next step, Tammy. Really looking forward to talking with you. And a fellow Italiano says, my anxiety is still there, but lessened a little bit. Working with Jim in the classes and meditation has helped so much. Good. Keep it up. Keep it up. It will stop. They will stop after time. All you got to do is really work on, okay, just heart skip a beat. It's fine. It's totally fine. It's okay. It's okay. I'm breathing. I know I'm breathing. Don't fight it. Let it happen. Listen to your body. Go do the deeper work to understand what brought me to this point. Nikki says, I love these classes. We love having you, Nicole. Thanks so much. Ann says, my therapist has helped too. Good. Yeah. Sophia says, yes, the class is great, and I'm looking for a new one. Cool. Does that mean you're leaving us? Just kidding. Sort of. Ann says, meant to say a little at a time, not tilts. Okay, gotcha, Ann. My anxiety's still there, but lessened a little at a time. Gotcha. Okay. Tammy says, thank you, I will. Good. Yeah, send us a message. Anybody who wants that panic response plan book, shoot us a message here on Facebook, and we'll get it to you. Free. Our gift to you. Nicole says, I wish we could just stop it. Well, you can. It's just one of those things that you'll halt it. You're hitting the brakes and you're getting stronger on the brake. It's like when the plane lands, you don't just stop right away. You got the momentum, you get the brakes up, it's gonna stop, and you got the brakes up. So keep them up by learning the new skills and practice. Practice the meditation. Do all the stuff in the destimulating your nervous system chapter. It helps. It helps. Nick says, what's good, Sibbo? What's up, brother? How you doing, Nick? Good to see you, my man. Amanda says, sorry, couldn't I be more interactive? It's fine. You're doing great. Thanks for being here. Work is kind of overwhelming. Take a breath, slow down, practice your pause. Your worth is not tied into the work that you do, although it can supplement. We don't want that to be your foundation. So try to enjoy and be mindful of what you're doing. And says, love the classes. Let me hop over to YouTube. Lisa says, sorry for asking so many questions. This will be the last one. Lisa, I couldn't possibly have said any more during the stream. Ask more questions. Is it stupid that people want me to let go of the stuck emotion around my trauma with Dad, but I really just don't feel anything? I mean, maybe that's not what you feel, Lisa. Maybe you've dealt with it already. Is it stupid that people want me to let go of the stuck emotion around my trauma with Dad, but I really just don't feel anything? Is it stupid that people want you to let go? I think, I don't know. Look, who knows? And who are the people? Are you talking about therapists? Are you talking about your family or friends? If you don't feel anything, you don't feel anything. I had a psychological, a counseling mentor tell me I never grieved my father's passing. And honestly, I don't know if that's true. I feel the same way. It's like, I feel like they're telling me, you've got to grieve this. You've got to grieve this. And it's like, well, I really was grieved when he got sick. And I kind of had accepted and made peace with him it all when he died. I mean, I kind of felt like I lost him when I knew he would never be the same again. That was my big grieving. And I feel more attuned and in touch with him now since he's passed than I did when he was alive, to be honest with you. But yeah, Lisa, I mean, I'm not really sure. I'm not 100% sure of what you're asking. I don't think it's stupid that people want you to let go of it. I don't think it's stupid that you don't feel anything. I think you probably need some guidance, or that's not what's going on. That's not what's causing this health anxiety. And that's very possible. It is what it is. Maybe that's not the reason of what you're going through. I don't know. That's why I was saying, give me a call, Lisa. Let's get to work. Nicole, I dropped my therapist for the classes because it seemed she was more anxious than me. Ay. Jim, you are the real MVP. I appreciate you and Ennis so much. Thank you so much, Nicole. You're such a sweetheart. That's so nice. All right, guys. That's what we'll call it for tonight. It's been about an hour. I thank you guys so much. Yeah, I feel like maybe next week we should talk more deeply about trauma, and just how the body works with emotion, the effect of trauma, things like that. Guys, if you're interested in joining the class, if you're not already in, shoot us a message here on Facebook. If you haven't set up that free coaching call, go to the description in both the YouTube and Facebook videos. Please like, subscribe, follow, all that great stuff, YouTube and Facebook. If there's anything we can do for you, shoot us a message here on Facebook, comment on one of our videos on YouTube. And please, if there's anybody out there you think that our message would help, please refer them to us so we can get in touch with them and help them as best we can. Other than that, guys, just remember, no matter how long it's been, no matter how intense it is, no matter how debilitated or stuck you feel, you're never, ever stuck. You might just need some support. I'm Jim Cipollini for Inner Solutions. Thank you guys so much. Lots of love to you and good mental health. Have a great night.